Foley. I'm here at Guitar World in New York City, and I wanted to talk about a blues lick that I love that's multifunctional. We use it all the time, and as a blues player, you kind of fall back into patterns. I always say blues isn't about the blues scale or the minor pentatonic scale or anything like that. It's not a scaly music, it's a pattern music. So you got to know the patterns to kind of really sound bluesy. And one of the ones that I lean on a lot, and that a lot of real blues players do, is something. I'm going to go to the key of E, but it's if I'm going to the 4, so I'm in the key of E, and if I'm going to the 4, there's this great walk-up lick that's been used for, and kind of got started with Chicago blues. You start to hear it, early Chicago blues. It's kind of like this. So I'm on the A chord, I'm on the 4, but say I'm in the key of E, and I'll just walk up and show you how that pattern works. And I'll do a E shuffle, about to change. And the thing about blues is pretty, I always say it's simple, it's not easy, but it is kind of easy to execute these moves. It's just the way you use them and create your own style within that framework is how your blues playing gets interesting. So for instance, with that lick, right, I'll slow it down. And basically what I'm doing is I'm just walking up to an A chord that's with this sort of F chord formation, or bar chord formation. And in blues, I would call that first position. When we're working from that place, I consider that first position. So that's when you're in an A going in That is a minor pentatonic scale, but I never approach it from a scale. I approach it from a pattern. And the pattern is the A7th chord, right? And I'm just walking from a 7th to a 6th to just a plain A chord. And just with that very simple pattern, you can go so many places because, you can go to, you could walk your turnaround back from that. Or you can just do that when you move to the 4 chord, instead of going like, let's say, I'll do it again, walking up to the 4 chord. So that's just something to mess around with. It's real simple, it's super fun, and it kind of ties your playing together to where it starts to sound actually bluesy. Because a lot of people, they approach blues and they'll get to the 4 chord and they'll just be still doing these single note lead riffs on a minor pentatonic scale, which I always say I can always pick out players when they sound scaly. I always say that his playing's really scaly. And you don't want to sound scaly, you want to sound bluesy. Even something like... And I love that little walk up. You'll hear that a lot, like if you listen to early Chicago blues, especially stuff by like Muddy Waters when he had Jimmy Rogers and Louis Myers as guitar players. Those two, they do this great dance. Robert Jr. Lockwood is also a great guy to check out. But even later on when Johnny Winter played with Muddy Waters, those albums are so great. And Johnny plays that lick all over the place. In fact, when I first learned that, I was learning Johnny Winter solos. off of those Muddy Waters albums that they did in the 80s. Those are tremendous albums to really just study real basic blues patterns, because Johnny Winter just lays it out just like so perfectly. So check that stuff out and then just, you know, play around with it. But that pattern, and that's just the same as, right? Like go. So if you want to expand on that, here's another method to do it, just to add a couple more notes. So instead of just going, you can go. You know, something like that. I mean, you can play around with it and get your own personality, do little trills or whatever, you know. So a typical thing coming back from the 5 in like, say, a blues and E and a Texas shuffle or something would be. It's all about, you know, the turnarounds and these little like licks that go together that are sort of pattern based. They're not really, you know, it's not like a scale. It's more of like a pattern. You know, you can go, you can have fun with it, you know. I just love this walkout. I like when you can stretch it up, like do that bend up. Or basically what I'm doing, this pattern is a Chicago sort of style, you know, so I say always reference that early Chicago stuff from the 40s, when they just electrified the guitars and they started to do a lot of single note lead stuff. And in that music, you'll hear a lot of those turnarounds. They were really, it was kind of new and fresh what they were doing. So there you go. There's a blues lick you can really use. It's super multifunctional. You can apply it in different parts of the song. And it's something you can always fall back on. You know, a lot of times when we're soloing, we don't know. If you don't have an idea of where you're going, sometimes you can just get lost in solo land and single note lead land. And it's good to have these little things that ground your playing and can bring you back home, bring you back to the turnaround, or bring you back to the beginning and sort of center yourself again. So I can't stress that enough, the real simplicity of, the beauty of the simplicity of blues, but it's all pattern based. It's not like, not even riff based that much. It's more like it happens in these sort of places with these patterns. So anyway, hope you enjoy that lesson, that little blues lick you can use it a lot. And thanks to Guitar World for having me. And I'll be at SueFoley.com if you want more info on where I'm at.